Hello, future viewers. Welcome back to a game that I can't pronounce. Gratuitous Space Battles.
It's a bit of a tongue twister, and I'm Stone of Triumph.
I'm Regdrin, and I guess certain fictional beings' lives are in my hands, and this is a little bit much for me.
Well, you could let me run a battle.
What? No, you couldn't manage a fleet to save your life.
Well, we're just going to have to see about that someday.
Today, we are going to change our race, or we already have, to the Swarm, which I will describe in a second. But we are also going to fight the Empire, so let's take a quick look at them. Stone of Triumph, could you describe the Empire in a few words?
Let's see. In a vast sea of stars and denial.
Founded at least 30,000 years ago, the Empire is so shrouded in history and myth that its exact name and origins are long forgotten. The Empire are a technologically obsessed species, relying on high-tech shields in preference to armored spaceships. The current Emperor took power over 1,100 years ago, and despite coming from a species whose lifespan rarely exceeds 100, the official line is that he is merely under the weather, which is why he is no longer seen in public. Well, I guess after another 10,000 years it might start to look a little suspicious.
Yeah, he's just still on the throne.
So I wonder if this Empire is referenced to anything.
Beats me.
And we are playing as the Swarm. Can you describe them in a few words?
Let's see. A moment.
Sure, take your time.
Flock of seagulls.
Flock of seagulls. Oh boy, that's going to fit well with their description here. The Swarm are coming. There is no defense. Fighting against them is like holding back the tide. Their ships may break apart with ease, but there seems no limit to their numbers. The Swarm do not retreat, as they have nowhere to go. Space-dwelling nomads for the last million years. These homicidal bird-like aliens have no plan B, only plan A, which is your destruction. The best defense is to stay hidden. Do not anger the Swarm. And never call them the Flock. Boy, they hate that.
Okay.
Let's take a look at some of the ships that we've put together. The thing about Swarm ships is that they have no strengths exactly, in that they actually only get penalties to their ship designs.
Correct.
They have minus hull integrity, minus armor boost, minus shield boost, and another big minus, which is a cost boost minus 20%.
Yep.
Actually, I lied. They also get a strong speed boost, which almost offsets the other stat penalties just right off the bat. I think the Swarm might be a little overpowered. As they don't have any super distinctive special weapons. I mean, they have the Swarm Disruptor Beam, which is basically a beam laser, except that it pierces shields, but its damage is not great. I don't use this thing. Its fire interval is also horrible. It's like one of the worst DPS weapons in the game.
It's a beam with extra steps.
However, it does have one unique thing, which I've found to be pretty useful for certain builds, like this plasma frigate. Remember how I ran into problems with crew compartments when I tried to put 4 fusion plasma launchers on a frigate?
Yes.
Well, they have a solution. The Swarm Crew Nest is a frigate-only thing for reasons that I haven't figured out yet. But it's pretty nice. You can put a whole lot of crew into one crew slot with this thing.
Oh, okay.
Also, regarding the Swarm, lore-wise, I consider it to have 3 steps. One is where you look at them and they're like, "The Swarm!" and you're all scared. Then you realize it's more like, "The Swarm!" And then it's a little less scary. And then, if you know anything about Alfred Hitchcock, then you're scared again.
Yep.
Oh, and while we're at that phase of things, you may have noticed something about the cruiser design, which is They're all birds. All of the ship designs are bird-like, with one ship class exception, which is notable, I think.
Yes.
The fighters are flying cars. As far as I know, there's no explanation for them all being variants of flying cars, but that's what they are.
Well, we're just gonna have to run with it.
Also, their hull names are all Egyptian for whatever. There's probably a reason that I just don't know. Anyway, let's get this thing going. We have 3 spatial anomalies, which will change the battles a lot, except I don't use repair systems, I put engines in all my ships anyway, and I can't be bothered to use camouflage systems. So actually, it doesn't affect my game plan at all.
Okay, let's get them.
Well, this map is notable in that the Empire uses a whole lot of fighters, and these are anti-fighter fighters. Which is a problem because these frigates in particular are not well armored. So I'm going to need to take extraordinary measures here. Also, as the description states, the Empire are big on shields. I cannot, therefore, rely on purple beams. My beam cruisers are going to be fairly small in number. Aside from that, well, we'll put forward the pulse cruisers as we normally do. We are going to be outnumbered even though we're the swarm. That's how budgets work in this game.
But we'll be less outnumbered than usual.
There are a lot of pilots allowed. Like, a huge number of pilots allowed, in fact. We can outnumber their fighters if we really want to. I don't really want to, though. That's not my style. Well, we will need at least a few squads of fighters, and these are a little bit different. Remember how we talked about the way armor is kind of useless?
Yes.
On fighters? I've changed my mind.
Oh?
Yes. When enemies are fielding anti-fighters and there's a whole bunch of them, you can design it so that some ablative armor is a much-needed quality increase. Like, the lightest armor there is, of course, and I won't use it on a lot of maps where they just send fighters to attack your cruisers or whatever.
Now, it's funny you should mention the fighter thing, because I've cleared this map with nothing but fighters.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. At some point in the future, I'd like to see you do that.
I didn't really need to work very hard.
I know, I just want to know what it looks like. Right, so, Swarm Plasma Frigates. For reasons that I think we've already explained, we're going to field a lot of these.
Yes.
They don't quite have the oomph of the Alliance frigates, but they are still efficient builds, which is really all you need. We're going to be firing quite a bit of plasma, I think. We also need Swarm Tractor Frigates to work with our fighters, because, oh boy, they're going to send a lot. And we are sending Swarm Missile Cruisers, and I have a small funny story about those. When I tried them out, they were described as being the least effective design, which you've seen missile boats, you know that is a very strange assessment of them. Then I found out that all of my other ships were just so fast that they were outpacing them, and the battle was over one way or another by the time the missile cruisers got there, so I needed to take out their carrier base and give them an extra engine instead, so that they could keep up.
Okay.
Okay, I think I want more than one missile cruiser, though.
That's a lie.
Well, it is a convincing lie. And, let's see. I think that's, should I try rocket fires? I don't think so, because a lot of their equipment is anti-fighter. I'll add another missile cruiser, and if it turns out I don't have enough of a front line, then I'll... Oh, wait, no. I have beam frigates. What am I thinking? I need to use every type of frigate because I have to.
That's a beam cruiser.
Yeah, That's a beam cruiser, whatever. They're all birds to me. I don't know.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm going to give them orders to escort my backliners, but I'm going to give them a wide berth so that
they can shoot things.
They can shoot things, yes. And hopefully that'll provide all the DPS I need.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot is kind of relying on my missile cruisers and my pulse cruisers to remove enemy shields quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I hope that my fighters beat out their fighters with the fleet support that I'm providing, because those swarms of fighters are kind of scary, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go. Oh yeah, the music you get in a battle depends on the faction you're facing. They actually put some work into making the Empire's music suitably villainous. Even though pretty much every faction in this game is villainous in some way.
So let's see what happens.
Yes. That's a lot of fires, especially on the upper side.
Well, the thing is, the Empire fighters, at least in this map, are not actually very good.
Well, they're kind of typical fighter versus fighter builds. My frigates are not big on armor, though.
No, they are not.
That's how frigates sometimes go, and how they, go. Maybe I should have not bothered to give them shield generators, but instead put some armor on them. Although armor is not really a strong point of swarm ships anyway.
Looks like your plasma cruisers aren't moving forward.
My plasma frigates, you mean?
Yes.
Nah, they're all moving forward. It's the thing is, I forgot to give the order for my beam frigates to not target fighters specifically. But anyways, it looks like we've removed the fighters. We also lost our own fighters, but that doesn't matter. I wasn't depending on them to destroy the enemy ships. Like, once we've closed in on them, it's pretty clear where they spent all their points, because they're not doing so well here.
Oh, you equipped the EMP weapons?
Yes, I decided that my frontliners should be able to stun a little bit. Ooh, yeah, this is kind of a problem. This is why you have to be careful about ships with different speeds, as I also found out the hard way, because otherwise you have your fleet going forward in layers, and that's not great concentration of firepower if their weapon ranges aren't suitable for it. And there we go. I don't quite recall which of my weapons deal 53 damage. That's a fairly big number.
My guess is that it's some kind of beam weapon.
Yeah, beam lasers will do that sometimes. And yeah, the numbers are starting to look really bad for their side. Also, their cruisers also sometimes have pulse lasers, or technically they're called cruiser lasers, but you know the ones I'm talking about.
Of course I do.
So they don't automatically lose any kind of melee battle. That's one of the reasons a good backline is so important here. Behold the mighty power of the swarm as we blast away everything in our path like the mighty tide crushing rocks into sand. Hey, that's not funny. I expect funny. I'm disappointed.
Okay.
Looks like we actually missed more than they did, and that's probably because of the fight against all those fighters at the start.
Yeah.
We apparently made our weapons count more than they did when they hit, though. And as always, having reflective shields and just decent shields in general is pretty useful. So, expert. I don't know how well this formation will fit whatever export formation they have, but...
Don't worry about it. Go get them.
Maybe, actually, you know what? In order to defend my ships better, I think I need to have them escort a little differently. I'm gonna have them defend the midliners, but give them a longer range to work with. Because I was a little bit lazy on their escorting earlier, and that might have caused some problems. And also, these guys are not going to specifically attack fighters. There. These guys will, though.
Let's see. Escort bubble.
Yeah, hopefully that'll be big enough to cover most of the fleet.
Okay.
Let's go! So, let's take a look. This is there's quite a bit of space in this map. So we got... It looks like they're not sending all their fighters out right away. They're sending some, but not the all-out attack that happened in hard or normal. They sent a whole bunch at once in normal as well. Well, that means that the first two flocks will not be too much of a problem, I think. Well, let's speed things up, because one-time speed is for people who are not streaming, I would say.
Oh, we're not streaming.
Or doing a YouTube video, I guess. I'm sorry. I'm in a streaming frame of mind. Anyway, I find that having a frigate with lots of tractor beams next to a cruiser with defense lasers works better than having a frigate that tries to do it all.
Correct.
I wonder if one of those was hit by a plasma missile. That would be embarrassing. Oh, they're going in a direction that I probably don't want them to go.
Yeah, they'll be fine. Don't worry about them. You're gonna win this one.
I think it's a little bit early to call that. Oh, I'm missing my plasma shots. The thing is, although they look like basically space stations and maybe not all that mobile, they go by the same engine rules as anyone else, and they don't have a speed penalty.
Now, I know what their ship configuration is. Those cruisers are not equipped for the fine kind of battle that you're offering.
Oh, really? That's odd, considering that I thought I was ordering or providing a fairly straightforward sort of battle.
Well, the thing is, they're not really equipped for the kind of close-range fighting you built your fleet for.
Oh, close-range fighting. Well, I have some long-range ships, but I do know what you're talking about. I do have some of my guys, or girls, or whatever however these birds work. They're closing in, yes. So this is starting to look a little one-sided. The one problem is that my fleet might interact with theirs in an awkward way right in the middle here.
You'll be fine.
Yeah, I don't think that fighter setup worked as well for them, because I've still got some fighters left. And this is even though they tend to bring tractor beams on this map. If I understand correctly, the Empire actually has a smallish sort of cruiser that looks almost like a frigate. I mean,
they're not on this map.
They're not on this map. Okay, because I don't know. Imperial designs all look kind of same-ish to me. You got black wheels and more black wheels. I mean, even the swarm ships have different feather design. Also, their shields look kind of cool. I think this is the first faction that has different shield appearances.
Well, they were DLC, so...
Okay, that's true. And that seems to be that.
Correct.
Yeah,
Don't worry, the next map with the Empire is not as much of a pushover.
Oh, good. Well, the thing is, when I was trying it out and on normal difficulty, the mass fighter attack did take me off guard a little, but we've already observed how to deal with them, we just needed more of it. So that's it for that battle. I guess now it's time for a word from our sponsors. This time it is a word from Blue 5, I'm sorry, their catchphrase is, "Their armor is not too strong for these blasters," and when an asterisk with fine print below it says, "Please do not sue us, we are a mother and father organization and we have hundreds of thousands of broodlings to feed." First of all, the fighter rocket launcher. Please take it away.
The problem with fighter-mounted lasers is the lack of shield and armor penetration. This isn't a problem for rockets, but you need to find plucky fighter pilots willing to get close. Rockets, because 20,000 years of tradition doesn't lie.
Now, a lot of this is false advertising. The max range is actually not any less than lasers. In fact, it's longer range than lasers. And its shield and armor penetration are not amazing. They will destroy frigates, but against cruisers you need to remove their other defenses first. Now we'll talk about their main competitor, and if you think I trash-talk the rocket launcher, you ain't seen nothing yet. Fighter torpedo. Worried about your fighters not penetrating your enemy's shields? Then the fighter torpedo system is going to help you sleep at night. Not your enemies, though. They will be toast.
There are a few problems with this weapon.
Now, this one actually is honest advertising, because they will pierce any shield and almost any armor. The problem is the weight. Now, I think we've kind of established that fighter speed is the most important thing, and that slow fighters get vaporized before they can even shoot. The weight of a laser cannon is 2.5. The weight of a rocket launcher is 2.0, and these are things to consider when deciding your fighter. A fighter torpedo's weight is 15, and let me just replace a weapon and see what its maximum speed goes to. It goes from 2.46 to 1.03.
That's basically frigate speed.
Yes, it's fast frigate speed, but still. It means this fighter is going to get hit by cruiser weapons, most likely. So never ever use torpedoes, unless you're making a joke build, I guess.
Well, never mind.
They're probably going to pull their sponsorship from our show after what we just said.
Their sponsorship amounted to a can of peanuts every week.
I like peanuts, though. No, never mind. I'll figure something out. Well, that's it for Gratuitous Space Battles today. I hope you enjoyed.
See you next time.
Later.